Hey, y'all. Welcome back to another episode of the Y'all Be Good podcast. Before we begin, we'd like to offer a brief trigger warning. This episode contains conversations about suicide, about grief and loss. Listener discretion should be advised. If you or someone you know is struggling or in crisis, please know you're not alone. Help is available 24 hours a day by calling or texting the Suicide Crisis Lifeline at 988. This week, Heather and I sit down with Cristina Thornton, a woman whose life work has been helping people through some of their darkest moments. Whether working in public service or alongside people in crisis, Cristina has dedicated her career to walking with others through hardship. But nothing could have prepared her for the greatest tragedy of her own life, losing her son, Isaac. Today, Cristina shares her story with incredible honesty and courage. We talk about grief, healing, faith, resilience, and what it means to keep living after an unimaginable loss. She reminds us that grief isn't something we simply get over. Instead, we learn how to carry it while continuing to love, grow, and find purpose. This is undoubtedly one of the most emotional conversations we've had on the podcast, but it's also one of the most hopeful. If you've experienced loss, if you're walking along someone who's grieving, or you're searching for hope in a difficult season, we believe you'll find something meaningful in Cristina's story. This is Season 2, Episode 6 of Y'all Be Good podcast. Y'all be good.
Let's go.
I mean, I don't even know what we're going to talk about. I don't know if you want to stick to this or what.
What I usually tell people about the podcast, I really want it to be very much like a casual conversation. Like if you came over and we were just talking over dinner, it doesn't need to lead anywhere. It doesn't need to go anywhere. It just really, a lot of times there are topics that we want to get into, but for the most part, we just want to hear about you, what you do. A lot of the people that we have on have interesting lives or professions or careers, and we get into that.
And then just kind of like your background, like how did your life lead you into this sector? Because you were saying before that you used to be.
So let me tell you. So when I graduated from college, I worked with early intervention, and early intervention does birth to 3 evaluations when they're concerned that there's any kind of delays in kids. And that was my first prevention work. And I didn't even know that that's what I was doing at the time. You know, I was just I majored in sociology, community service, and it was my first job out of college. You know, so I was just like, okay, so this is good, you know, and that job, it was I liked it, but the coordination of it was kind of difficult. So I applied for another job. I've only worked in local government my whole career. And again, just looking for another job. I'm like, oh, this sounds interesting. Not really considering like that things were leading to certain aspects of my life or would lead me to where I am right now. And it was a program called Linkage. And it was a grant related program. And again, I was like 22, 23. I didn't know anything about grants. I was a single mom. I had my son at 19. So all I knew I was trying to do is help people and come back into my community, because those are the other things that's what else I wanted to do. And I was just trying to find a way to make the most money to take care of my son, because I wasn't getting any kind of child support or anything. So I was like, how do I bring this all together? What sounds interesting to me?
Yeah.
What's a flexible schedule for my son too? Because my mom and my grandparents were helping me. And so I'm very fortunate for that, because some people don't have any help at all. And So I started applying, like I said, for different jobs, and I found this job called Linkage, and it was a case management job. And it was for people who had recently attempted suicide. And I was like, this sounds great. You know what I mean? I'm like, I didn't think anything of it. I'm like, okay, this is good. So I applied for that job. I got it. And what it was an awesome program that there's no longer a grant for, was after people had attempted suicide, either getting out of the hospital, or we mostly picked them up from Elgin and St. Teresa, it was called back in the day, in Waukegan. And we transitioned them back into the community. It was another program that they had eliminated, so this was like the cover between the two. And it was a 90-day program. And what we did was we reintegrated people back into the community, because you can imagine if a person recently attempts suicide, it is very traumatic, and they need all the resources and kind of like global rehabilitative
support.
Yes, to bring them back into the community. So we would hook them up with a psychiatrist. We would hook them up with a therapist. We would help them with job searching, and they had housing also. So my office was in an apartment complex. So they had housing too. And it was a really cool program. And unfortunately, they no longer have it. And I think that's part of the issue that we're having with people who do have some mental health issues and are feeling suicidal. So another thing I want to tell you guys, with my son dying and like with the education that I have gotten around suicide, it's usually referred to as not a person committed suicide, because that says that the person like committed something wrong.
Okay.
The new verbiage is dying by suicide.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting.
Okay. It says dying by suicide. And, if you talk to someone, you don't correct them, because people talk how they talk, right? And so you don't want to, sometimes you get into like, you're trying to like speak as much as politically correct that when I'm speaking to different organizations, I'm like, I don't know how to talk to people sometimes.
Sure.
So that's how that was that linkage program, going back to that. And then after that, I moved away to Georgia with my son. I came back, and then I worked for a program called CABS and SAS, which was, one of them is ongoing case management for youth who have mental health challenges, and the other one is crisis intervention for kids who attempt suicide. So that was while I was trying to get back into working with the county, because I work for Lake County Health Department. And while I was working with those kids, another job opening, because you imagine I'm looking for a full-time job, right? I have to provide for my son. And since I had my son when I was 19, I think the whole thing of it, you're asking me how I got into it, how I got into this position is looking for the best job for my son, doing something that speaks to my soul, and with the most flexibility so I was always driven towards Isaac. I had Isaac when I was 19. So I'm technically a teen pregnancy, although I was in my sophomore year of college, okay?
Sure.
And I did finish college in 4 years. I was refusing to stop and let myself be a statistic, especially being a Latina, Mexican, and Puerto Rican. I come from a divorced parents. So I am like, I'm not part of that statistic. I'm going to finish college.
Sure.
And also, I lost my train of thought. I didn't want to be part of the statistic also, and no shade to anybody who uses any of government resources. I refuse to use any government resources. I paid for everything for cash for my son's doctor's appointments and everything. I just felt that if I got sucked in, like it would be hard to get out.
Yeah, it is hard, because like they have so many rules and restrictions that you have to follow. And that threshold is so easy to cross over. And then you still don't have, like, I know someone who, like, she kept track of, when I worked with her, she kept track of her hours, because she had, at the time, 2 kids. And if she went over those hours that she was given, she couldn't, get the daycare she needed to work. and if she went over that threshold. So it's like it's a game that you're playing.
Mm-hmm.
And you always hear this negativity about people on government assistance, but it's like they're just trying to get to that next level.
Mm-hmm.
But if you take that all away from them immediately, like after being over that threshold, then it's harder for them to get back to where they were. Like they're building.
Yeah. But even with that threshold, because I know when my wife and I moved back to Wisconsin, she applied for some state aid for a little bit because we were both kind of unemployed, just kind of looking around. We had 3 kids at the time, just trying to figure out life. And there was this time that even we could see very clearly how someone, A, could take advantage of the system, and B, how you get stuck in the system, because we would finally feel like we're making enough to like support the family, and then the government aid would like close down, and it almost seemed like you need to be in this rut. They'll help you there, but if you're sort of climbing out of it, it's all gone, and then you're like stuck, and then you're feeling a little you just don't have the resources to that next tier. Right. And then after that, you feel a little bit more secure. We always thought maybe it should be like one tier up, like where the income level is at a certain point. And once you get there, then yes, you have some added resource. You have this, and that way things kind of flow a little bit better. So you don't feel like you're getting stuck in the lowest tier of using the resource. I did want to just kind of go back a little bit. Are you from the area?
I'm from the area. I am from Lake County, born and raised here. I'm 3rd generation here.
Oh, cool.
Latina. And
Gonzalez, right?
Yeah,
that's
Gonzalez.
Your maiden name?
That is my maiden name, Gonzalez. That's my dad's Puerto Rican, so my Gonzalez is Puerto Rican. My mom's Mexican. I love being Mexican and Puerto Rican, but I do have more Mexican customs because my maternal grandparents were very involved in our life, and I attribute a lot of my life values and success to my grandparents and my mom and my dad too. We were fine, even though my parents got divorced. There were some challenges after my parents got divorced when I was 15. But I'm from the area. I'm from Lake County. Went to Catholic school my whole life, preschool through college. That happens to be my chosen faith, even to my adult life. I love being Catholic. My grandparents just made me super proud of being Hispanic, being a hard worker, loving your family, and Catholic faith. That's just, and
it's kind of ingrained in everything.
Yeah,
everything we do growing up, for sure. Did you ever, I kind of get this way. Did you ever feel there's this saying, ni de aquí, ni de allá?
Oh, for sure.
So ni de aquí means not from here, and ni de allá means not from there. And so I've always felt like this. And maybe you grew up a little bit more in like a Latina environment, whatever the word would be. But I don't know. I always felt like I was very much not Mexican enough for my Mexican side of the family. But I also did like choir and theater growing up. So I was never part of like the white kids, as much as I wanted to be accepted on both sides, it never really worked.
Yeah, no, it's the same thing. And throw being Puerto Rican in there, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so like I said, I'm 3rd generation. My grandmother was born in Milwaukee, and then they went back to Mexico.
Oh, wow.
And then she came back when she was 20 with my grandfather. They had one of my uncles who was born in Mexico. So when you tell people that, especially Latinos who are from this area and newly immigrated, they don't believe you. They're like, you're 3rd. Yeah, I am 3rd, generation. My grandma didn't really speak English, because, people are like, oh, learn English. Well, if you're already in a place that you don't know very well, and, you're trying to navigate that, and then you're trying to speak English and people make fun of you.
Sure.
And you don't, before this started, we talk about having anxiety, or, you don't know what people have come from from what hardships they've come from that they're here.
Sure.
Because a lot of people are like, oh, I'm sorry, I'm going to just give the common, racial things or, Mexicans are dark. They come here, like illegally.
Yeah,
and
they take our jobs.
They take our jobs and all this stuff. But the reality is a lot of people don't come from Mexico if they're doing well over there. And there's a lot of well-to-do people.
Yeah, for sure.
We're not all short too, because did you guys see that? NBA got their first Mexican-born
No, I didn't.
NBA player. His name is Kareem Lopez. That guy is like 6'5"-ish, 6'7". I don't know what he is. Yeah. And then I have a cousin in Mexico who's over 6 feet tall. So imagine that guy though.
So do
You're
we.
pretty tall too.
Tall-ish, but not super tall. I'm definitely on the medium size.
Yeah.
I have a cousin. He was here yesterday. I don't know. My cousin Yesenia, she's got 3 boys, and they are all the oldest is over 6'4", 6'5". Like, he's a tall dude. And then the youngest is quickly approaching. I think the one in the middle is more the normal medium size height.
Yeah. But that also had something to do with what I majored in. That's why I majored in sociology, beside that I am just a C average student. But I worked very hard for those C's. Let me tell you.
Listen,
very, very
I worked hard for my D's and F's.
I worked hard for my C's. But my grandparents, how hard they worked and stuff like that, and how, immigration affects people and how the community affects the people immigrating here really impacted me. And that's partly why I majored in sociology, was because I'm like, I am so interested in how one person affects the community and how the community affects people.
Yes. Oh, for sure.
We're big nerds for that.
Right?
Big nerds for that.
Yeah.
Even on a national scale, like if you look at it through like the sociological lens, what's happening in our country right now? Like a single person, not to get too political, a single person impacting like that circle and then that circle and then that circle, and then you have January 6th happen, and it's like there's so much of that goes into it, all for a rhetoric of.
Well, and this is something that's repeated in history over and over over again, because people like to be better, or the stigmas, like the stigma of earlier, what you said, like committed versus die by. Mm-hmm. Committed, like you said, it sounds bad, and they're selfish and all these other things. And there's so much behind it. Or like people who abuse drugs, like that's a symptom of something else.
It is.
Sure.
It's not just a dirty, like that's how my dad made me feel. It was like they're dirty, nasty, scummy,
they're
stupid.
Choosing.
Right.
They're
choosing. Right.
Yeah,
and it's like, not necessarily.
No. So that's very true. And when I started working with this grant that I'm working with the health department, which is called the Regional Substance Use Prevention Integration Center, it is a regional grant in Illinois. Let me say that too. So I work in Illinois, and I know we are in Wisconsin. So, this grant is in Illinois, but it pretty much transfers. There are different prevention grants here in Wisconsin too. But this grant was focusing on, substance use prevention. And I was like, hey, you guys, we cannot talk. It's a newer grant. It's 3 years. It'll be 3 years. I think it's already 3 years old now. We cannot talk about substance use prevention without talking about mental health. Mm-hmm. And when we talk about substance use prevention, it's not to say that a person who has a substance abuse or misuse issue has a serious mental illness. But like you said, it is from something else as well. So getting back to that and my career, so I became a case manager with drug and mental health court after I got back from Georgia. And Lake County they're called specialty courts. They're also called therapeutic courts. So the thought process behind the therapeutic courts, but if they did not have a serious mental illness, substance use issue, they would not be in the system. Right. So it is a rehabilitative court for people who are struggling, and are in the system, and they want to divert from doing any time as well.
Yeah.
But it's really in the core to help them get the services they need. So I became a case manager with the health department with drug and mental health court, and the then probation. So on part of this drug and mental health court, it's a full treatment team. Each person gets a full treatment team that looks at their case individually. There's an assistant state's attorney. There is assistant public defender. Sometimes the public defender would be there. There's judges. There's a psychologist or a therapist. There's a coordinator. And then there's a slew of other people. Like somebody would come from NACASA, which was a substance use treatment facility, not facility, but it's outpatient in Illinois. So there would be a lot of people at the table trying to help a person, navigate life.
Yeah. Sorry to interrupt. And this is all available through the state? Like the individual isn't having to pay for this?
No.
Okay.
This is so each county decides whether they're going to have therapeutic courts or not. And I don't know what Wisconsin has.
Sure.
I don't know what counties exactly have them in Illinois or not. All I know is Lake County has them.
Sure, yeah.
Well, I was looking at your map on your website, and it does reach out pretty far.
It does.
The only one I think was Cook County has probably its own thing going on.
Cook County is always its own thing. Cook County is its own thing with probation. Cook County is its own thing with any kind of services. When we would have people, when they were on probation and they were moving to Chicago or whatever, you would try to hook them up with services, but it's such I don't know how else to say it. It's like a dark hole because there's so many sections.
Yeah.
Like you have to be, that is definitely one place you have to be in the community to know what services are out there.
Okay.
Because it's so dense.
It is.
There's so many people in one little area, and it is just craziness.
Are we talking a majority population, like demographic are we talking Cook County or Lake County right now?
We're talking Cook County now.
Okay, so Cook County, is there a lot of Hispanic, Latino, or is it like, I'm just thinking about demographic?
Demographic wise, I think Cook County has a lot of everything, to be honest with you. And I'm just talking about when we would refer them for resources when they were moving out of Lake County when I was a probation officer. So right now you could Google Kenosha. This person has to get a substance abuse evaluation. So you can Google that, right? And then if they need it on a sliding scale because they can't afford it or whatever the case may be, you can find different stuff in Kenosha, right?
Yeah.
You can find a lot of stuff in Lake County. But when you do that kind of Google search in Cook County, I mean, I don't know now. I've been out of it for like 3 years. It's kind of hard. There's so much because the different funding sources that are in that area, and the different organizations and whoever is providing the services.
And their requirements, like you've lived in the area for X amount of months, you are an active member of the community, blah, 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 blah.
Right.
Because that was one thing, I grew up in Waukegan, so I'm not very familiar with certain resources. I haven't had to use a lot of resources out there, but finding, I have a friend who still teaches there, and we're talking about the different things. And sometimes there's so many little roadblocks that can be discouraging for somebody.
Right.
But also that first step of seeking that kind of help anyway. Because a lot of times you're getting someone who's already gone, head first into crisis.
Right. Right. And they don't even know how to even begin to dig themselves out.
Yeah.
And so I lived in Waukegan until I was 7, and then we moved to Beach Park. My grandparents are that's where my mom grew up, in Waukegan.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. So that's great. That's awesome to know you're from Waukegan. And so I started working when I was working as a case manager, I knew a woman there who was working there, and she was somebody that I went to grade school with. I went to a little Catholic school called St. Joseph, and it closed down. There's a lot of Catholic schools, and she went there as well. And, back in the day in Waukegan, all the Latinos knew who they were. Because, and now, who knows who, but everybody, if you're Honduran, if you're Mexican, if you're El Salvadoran, if you're Puerto Rican, it didn't matter. They all knew who each other were.
Sure.
And so this friend, we grew up with her and she was older and none of her siblings were in our age, but she was the age of our cousins because I come from the era of a big family and where you didn't have friends. Your cousins were your friends.
Oh, for sure.
Okay. So we didn't have friends. My cousins are my friends.
Yeah.
And so
Ralph, we've had that conversation before.
right. You don't need any friends,
Yeah.
because you can't, especially being Hispanic, you can't spend the night at anybody else's house.
No, not at all.
Not at all.
Yeah.
I mean, you're lucky if you got to go spend the night at your cousin's house.
cousin's
too,
house,
right?
for sure.
So, your grandparents' house, for sure I could, but we could at our cousins too. But so I ran into her and they're like, you should come work for probation. And I was like, okay. And then, so I applied for probation and I got the position and I started out. Now I think about it, I was like, I don't even know what I was thinking. I know what I was thinking. Again, it brought me back to Isaac, flexible schedule and how can I make the most money for my son? And then my grandparents were really starting to get elderly then. How can I help them out too?
Sure.
You know what I mean? Taking my grandma shopping. My grandfather was still alive at the time, but he had gotten to a point too where he couldn't drive anymore. My grandmother never drove. And so it was like, how can I help them out too? And probation was 4 minutes away from where they lived.
Yeah.
So I got that position and my first position was with probation was a surveillance officer. And what a surveillance officer did which is different from what they do now. They don't do this now, okay? It was working with high risk offenders.
Okay.
So people who are at a higher rate to recidivate / pick up a new charge. And we were doing home visits and supervising them to make sure that they were abiding by their probation conditions. And so I had Waukegan and the south side of Waukegan. So, and I was smaller than I am now even. And I worked, you had to go, you had to do curfew checks. I went 2-3 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
And again, I think about it now and I'm like, I don't know what I was thinking, but wait, I do know what I was thinking. It was all for Isaac. How could I do, and I had my mom. I lived with my mom until I got married. I think a lot of people do, but especially culturally in the Hispanic community, you don't move out of your house until you get married.
Even after
Latina.
I know, right? Until last
exactly.
month.
right. And our culture is moving back to that because it's so expensive right now.
Yes.
And I think it's great because everybody needs community. And I think I think we had switched to a place where people were like, you got to be on your own. You have to do things on your own.
Mm-hmm.
But everybody needs community. They really do need community.
Yeah.
And so.
And having your children grow up with an older generation. I think of the decade that my kids spent with their grandparents living under the same roof. Invaluable. Yeah.
For both the kids and the grandparents.
Oh, for sure.
Grandparents are invaluable. And backing it up, so when I worked at the linkage program, so that was a cool program to work for. But also that's where I met my best friend who's from Kenosha.
Oh, cool.
And so we're best friends till this day. We were both single moms and she has 3 girls and I had Isaac and then I have a little sister who's 17 years younger than me. So
Holy cow.
We were broke single moms, both of us. Well, she wasn't single when I first met her and then she got divorced. And so we did all kinds of things that we could do as single moms that was fun for the kids and was fun for us. You know what I mean? And so we would go to Pets, and we'd have picnics there with the kids and her and I would hang out. The kids would play and we would go up to Mercer, Wisconsin.
Oh, sure.
Which is an hour out of Minocqua, right? Because her parents they have a cabin there. And that was my first experience of doing anything like that, because that's 5 hours, more than 5 hours away.
Well, and then for someone to have a whole house that they just go sometimes to, you're like,
I know they were living there permanently at that time. Her dad was a teacher from Wisconsin. He was a wrestling coach and a teacher. May his soul rest in peace. He just died in November. But Manny was a wrestling coach in Kenosha. A lot of people knew him from that. He was a great guy. And so I met her there. And then, so that's my motherhood in the background too. So the reason why I'm bringing her up is because I would do these home visits and I couldn't tell my mom or anybody else the experiences that I have, because I'm going to tell you, I had to go in there, I had a tackle box with my drop equipment because I had to do drug tests with people. And then I had another box with my breathalyzer in there. And then I wore a bulletproof vest.
Mhm.
Okay. And it was like a lot of times seeing through the night because it was dark outside, and you're like, and then sometimes you're walking up to places, and I hope it's okay that I cuss, but I'm like, what the fuck am I doing here? I'm like, what the fuck did I do? But again, it was all what I thought was the best for Isaac.
Sure.
Leading back to Isaac, the flexibility. My mom had him. I knew he was being taken care of. So my best friend, I would call her and I'd be like, oh my God, you don't know what I just saw. Oh my God, I got the shit scared out of me. I was just looking around because I was in this one place in Waukegan. Waukegan always gets a bad rap, but there's this one neighborhood I'll tell you about, where it's at. And the house, they're older homes.
Mhm.
And I was looking around, I was like, oh my God, what a pretty house,
Yep.
And then, but it's not Sheridan. It's not Sheridan Homes.
No,
I'm
no,
talking
no.
about. There's another area.
Yeah.
Oh, no,
But it's like these old Victorian houses from the 1900s.
Yeah.
They're beautiful.
Right.
But
Yeah. And so I was looking around and I'm like, all of a sudden this dog lunged out of my face. I'm like, oh my God, I'm going to die. What the hell is that? So I was like,
are you by yourself each
I'm
time?
by myself.
Shut up.
Yes.
And you're just like this little person.
I am by
This
myself.
Little Mexi
girl.
lady.
Yeah. I was
dude.
like, saw when people I'm like, I'm still tough now. I mean, I had to be tough after my parents got divorced when I was 15. We had to grow up really quickly.
Well, when you were in Beach Park, did you go to Zion? Or no, you went to Catholic school?
I went to Carmel High School.
Okay.
My parents so that was another thing that was different for us too. So I taught myself Spanish through going to school, and, I could not communicate real well with my grandparents, but I wanted to communicate with them so bad. The amount that I wanted to communicate with them so bad was the love I had for them. Because I'm like, I need to be able to speak some Spanish, and it's not that great even now, but I think it's good for, third generation. It's not bad.
Sure.
And so I don't remember what I was telling you. So if you can remind me.
We're talking about you growing up.
Oh,
in Beach
yeah.
Park.
And so that was a thing too. My parents had our house built because my dad's a carpenter by trade. So that's another thing. There's so many different things I would always love to get into. People who are in the trades, the trades is a brutal place to work.
Oh, for sure.
It's really fucked up how men are to each other. And that's the other thing that I want to talk about. I am a woman. I love being a woman, but losing my son to suicide, I am, wherever my life is going, it is to bring recognition to men and what they have to go through too, because they don't get to discuss things.
Yeah.
And they're not made comfortable. I mean, to discuss things. And my dad went through a lot with working with the trades, and him coming from a big family who was 15. So that's why I say there was 15 of them. They were very poor. That my parents got divorced when I was 15, and there was a lot of issues there, which can be anyways,
Yeah.
You're like, you don't understand life until you yourself live life,
Yeah.
and you're like, shit, okay, I get it now. And so that he was really rough. And so we became rough and tough with that, became rough and tough with them getting divorced when I was 15, and then being a single mom, and then being a probation officer. So I do feel rough and tough.
Yeah.
I feel like I've been in crisis mode for a very long time.
Sure.
I'm working in crisis.
Mhm.
So yes, we did not go to Zion. My little brother did, because he hated Carmel and he joined the Marines from there. 18. He did three tours on our last war.
Wow.
He went right away. Yeah. And so that was another thing that was different though, that our parents had our house built. And we didn't think anything of it.
Yeah. I was going to say, it sounds like, even though I get it, my parents were not well to do growing up, but resources we were never hungry. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it sounds like they wanted a little bit more for you guys,
Mhm.
sending you to a private Catholic school.
Mhm.
That's not cheap.
No. And they did well. They did do well. My mom worked for AT&T her whole her whole career. And my dad was a carpenter. Carpenters make good money.
Yeah,
But we definitely felt it when my dad was out of work.
Sure.
Because they get laid off during the winter time.
Yes.
And we definitely felt it when my parents got divorced.
Yes.
So, yeah, we were lucky to continue going to Catholic school, and through different, Catholic schools get a lot of grant money too. And so, that's how, I think that's how we finished out high school, because Carmel was definitely expensive. And
they have that gala too.
Oh yeah.
And that one, every time someone tells me about it, I'm just like,
I've never
what
been.
world is that?
I've never even been to it either.
It's like a fundraising gala type thing?
It's street scenes.
It's a gambling.
Street scenes.
So they gamble and donate money to the school, basically.
Okay.
But it's like a huge to do.
Yeah.
It's like themed every year. Like one year it was like Riverboat. One year it was like Mardi Gras. One year it was...
Okay.
I can't even remember, because like I know so many people, like growing up there in Lake County and in Waukegan, a lot of my friends went to St. Anne's and they came up to here to St. Joe's, or they go to Waukegan or Zion, or they go to Carmel.
Yeah.
Mount Carmel. Not Mount.
No, it's just Carmel.
Carmel High School. And I mean, like, some of them would tell me like, oh yeah, they do this thing. And it just kind of was weird to me at first, because also I don't live that, like I have a like comfortable home life where like we had the stuff we needed sometimes. But like it was like, it was comfortable.
Right.
But we didn't go to parties. We didn't go to private school. We always went to public school. But like it's that thing, like it's something minimal, like if your fridge makes ice, then you're rich.
Right.
Me.
Right.
That childhood where it's like, oh, you got snacks in your house? You're rich.
Yeah.
Kind of thing.
Yeah. So we never went without anything, and we definitely had more. And me and my sister talk about it now, because I have an older sister. I have a little sister who's 17 years younger, and I have a brother who's 4 years younger than me. How would we have been if my parents would have stayed together? We probably would have been brats. We had everything we wanted, and then some, you know what I mean? And so I do believe that everything in life happens for a reason, with the exception of my son's death. That's inexplainable. And I just don't understand. I'm still working on that with God. But, so I worked at probation. And then after being a surveillance officer with high risk offenders, then I worked in a generalized population. And I stayed with probation for 15 years. After I did that, I did eventually become the drug court coordinator, which was always my goal. But then I had just had my second son, and it was too hard to keep the job. It was too hard to keep the job, because that job is really for somebody who's like a single person, because you're tapped in constantly.
Yeah.
If somebody has a positive drop, which is a drug test, if somebody absconded, which means they took off, if somebody's having an issue, which there's so many crises going on, I was constantly getting calls. And I was married. I'm married, and I had just had my second child. So I have Isaac, my second child, and I'm like, I can't do both.
Sure.
Like I'm like, that was my goal of all time, but now that's not going to be able to happen right now.
Yeah, for sure. And so leaving the probation, you got into what you're doing now.
Yeah. So after I did that, went back to general field probation, and then I worked as a resource liaison within psychological services and probation. And even then, then that takes us to COVID, right? So then I have Isaac, who's struggling with mental health issues, and I have Tony, who that's how I got to meet you guys.
Yes.
Who was I could see stuff was going on with him with autism. Let me make it very clear. I am not a therapist. I just have my bachelor's. I just operate off of experience.
Yeah. And many times experience supersedes degree in a lot of things.
Yeah. So I want to make that. I'm not giving any advice or anything. I'm just telling what I've gone through and who I've worked with. So we got Tony evaluated, and he was diagnosed with autism. And so then you're starting to navigate that. And then when COVID happened, Isaac's my oldest son. He was the class that was the graduating class. So he never got a
2020.
graduation. He never got any of that.
Oh, man.
And he was struggling. So I did have to hospitalize him. And I have to be honest with you, like even then I was like, are you sure that's what you need? You know, like even I was struggling with it. I don't know why, but I was like, I don't know if he can handle that. I mean, he was a very sheltered kid too,
Yeah.
you know? And so I left probation because Isaac was struggling and Tony were trying to find out his resources he
Yeah.
needed.
Can I stop you there and just ask how do we reconcile this right now with being Hispanic, Latina, and mental health, right? So I've kind of
Right.
talked to Heather a little bit about this, that growing up, at least the generation just prior to us, and maybe even more, mental health is like, ponte las pilas, like, dude, get up,
Right.
go to work, go
Right.
run, go walk or something, and
Walk
then
it
get
off.
back
Yeah.
to it, bro. Like,
If you don't have any, if you're feeling, what was it? Like, you're like, oh, I'm bored or this. Oh, I'll give you something to do.
yeah.
Ponte a sacudir. You want to,
Yeah.
let me give you something.
Yeah.
You're bored?
You're bored?
I got you. Don't worry about it.
To be fair, I do tell my children that because I've spoiled children.
Because you know what, though? You do, this is you saying that there needs to be a happy medium.
Oh, for sure.
You know what I'm saying? I do believe you need some of that ponte a sacudir.
Yeah.
You know, I do believe that there needs to be some more love and caring.
Yeah.
But they're so that's where we are, right? It's like we have gone from a place that was like all like pull yourself up by your bootstraps.
Sure.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? To we're kind of over coddling now too. We're seeing the issues with that, you know? So it's how do we meet in the middle?
Yeah, which is I think my constant struggle. So I have 3 kiddos. My oldest is 14, my middle is 11, almost 12, and then an 8-year-old girl. So 2 boys and a little girl. And they have a charmed life, to put it lightly, right? Like we're not super well to do, but they don't need anything. We were able to live with my parents for the last decade, and that helped a lot. And so they've gotten the coddling in that way, but they've also gotten a little bit more in my old age of 39, almost 39. I do feel like I'm a little, I don't know how to put it, a little harder on them at times. And I guess I'll tell you this. We were having a birthday party once for my son, and he had brought like some other friends, and there were a bunch of cousins there. And my oldest comes up to me and he's like, Dad, you know, you're the same with all of us. Like, I didn't know how to take it, if it was a compliment or not a compliment, but he was like, the way you treat us is how you treat like all the other kids. Cause all the other kids were like making a mess or something. I was like, hey, like clean this up. Like,
Yeah.
so I was like, yeah, I mean, I try to keep that. Anyway, all that to say, I try to keep a balance of, I'm really soft with my kids from time to time, but I can also be really hard on my kids from time to time. And I don't know which one is the best option, but I think we're all just trying to make it.
But that's the balance that you need that balance.
I think it's good. I think that's a compliment that your son, you don't want to be being super nice to other people, but not being nice to your kids. That is a great compliment.
Or vice versa.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
You know, and I think that's where it becomes very difficult. It's like that constant push and pull. Because even when Isaac died when he was 21, going to be 22. And it was constantly like the push and pull, like, how much do I give you? How much, like, you know, he took out school loans so he could have some skin in the game. But I told him, you know, like, we're going to help you at the end, you know, like, just don't worry about it. You know what I mean? And so we made him take out school loans so that he could, you know, I wanted him to learn the value. I had to pay for my own college. Nobody paid for my college.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Okay.
Same.
I didn't even get the forgiven that people got.
Sure.
I busted my butt to pay for that
Yeah.
too, you know? And so it's hard. It's hard. I mean, I talked to my best friend now. Her kids are in their mid-20s, and it's like, even now it's like, how much do you give them too? You know what I mean? And while you're trying to save for retirement, especially like if I'm going to have something for you, like, you want to do better than your parents did too, right? And it's not like being rich. I mean, we're not rich either, but it's like not having, and no shade at that. I feel bad. Like, I don't, having to work hard still when you're 70 or 80. There's people out there who have to do that, And so, it's like, it is a constant push and pull, like how much, to give. And so that brings me to now I work in prevention work. I just got this job and I'm like, all right, this is is less money, but the hours were better for my kids and it was more flexible. And I'm like, I'm living life right now. I can be there for Tony. I can be there for Isaac. And Isaac had just decided he wanted to go to college. I'm not going to say which one, just because I can tell you guys off this. He decided to go to college and he did everything on his own. I made him do it on his own because I wasn't pushing him to go or keeping him from going. And so he decided he wanted to go and we supported him. And Isaac and I would always talk. We talked about a very different relationship. Obviously, the other ones were little, but your first kid you grow up with.
Yeah.
And when you're a single mom, it's a different relationship.
And I was going to say, and you were so young.
Yes.
So you grew up with him in all the ways.
Right.
Yeah.
Like you're trying to learn how to be an adult, learn how to be a parent.
Right.
And then learn how to raise him.
Right. And not be his friend.
But still be there and supportive.
Right. And so I remember too, Isaac would tell me, he's like, Mom, I tell you stuff and my friends don't tell their moms what I tell you, because he would tell me a lot of stuff and I'd be like, man, Isaac, why are you telling me that? But I'm like, okay. I was like, well, you don't have to tell me. Don't tell me anymore then. But he still would tell me. But when he went away to college is when I lost him. I lost him when he went away to college. And you can feel your kids. I don't care. Sorry, no shade to the men. I love the men and women, but being a mom, they're part of you. You can feel your kids. You can feel what they're feeling. And he started to kind of be blocked. Like I couldn't feel him. And so 8 months was all it lasted, this job before Isaac died, where I'm like, I'm living life. Like I have this job. I got all the balls up in the air. Tony, I got him into a school that is integrated autism into regular school. I have Isaac in college. Like, this is a life. This is what it feels like to live, because I'm not like making all this money. That's not life, right? What life is to have good balance with your family and stuff like that. And so I'm 8 months into this job. Isaac is starting to struggle. And so that's the other thing with talking with you guys. I should know better, right? Like you would think I know better, because all I've done was work with mental health. All I've done was work with crisis. So you should know you should know your kid, but you know what? You don't know.
It doesn't work that way.
It doesn't.
Yeah.
And you're in a house, right? What do they say? The barber doesn't cut their kids' hair.
The cobbler never has,
exactly, right?
cobbler's kid
all
never has shoes.
things.
But also, if they're not letting you help.
Right.
I mean, you guys did have this close relationship and he's telling you things, but he's also has that feeling, and probably that feeling of responsibility of not making you worry.
Right.
Because you are mom.
Right.
And he doesn't either want to disappoint you or worry you. And it's scary to, like, you want to figure this all out on your own as like you were 19. You're like, I'm going to figure this out by myself.
Right.
He was doing that in his own way, but he forgot to ask for help.
He did forget to ask for help. So he, leading up to it, and part of the grant, and I could certify you guys here if you want, if you're interested in it, is doing different trainings. And there's a training called QPR, which is Question, Persuade, and Refer. It's an hour training that the grant has to offer. And I wish I would have had that before, because there are so many signs that we don't listen to, especially kids, men. Like, he was just angry and pissed off and so mad at me. And I was like, what the hell, man? And then, so it's like, it's a diversion. You know what I mean? Like, that weekend, it was a diversion. He was pissed. He wouldn't talk to me. And I think he knew that if he did talk to me, like I would get through to him, and it would either he did not have it planned out and it was just a quick like panic. If a person cannot sleep, that to me, that is the worst more than anything. If you can't sleep and you're not giving your brain the downtime, because your brain comes for you in the middle of the night.
It does.
It comes and it is evil if it's you're over processing.
Oh, for sure. My brain has woken me up at 2, 3 in the morning. Yeah, if you're over processing, overstimulated, overworked, yeah, for sure.
It comes. So sleep to me is number one of everything. You know, people are like, oh, well, what do you think? Sleep over medication and everything. And I'm not a doctor. This is like me. You need sleep. Yeah. You really need sleep. And so he was angry and upset that weekend. And leading up to there, he was like, you know, I just don't feel like being around anymore. Like maybe I was like, what? Isaac, you can't like say that, you know, like, and then I started crying because I was scared and I was like, I didn't, you know, like, I'm like, you want to go, what do you want to do, Isaac? And so, you know, I was like, don't say that. And so then people often misinterpret anger. Anger is like I feel like a very misinterpreted. And for me, with all the different things that I went through, like being a single mom, I revert to anger because I can function in anger and I can function in happiness, but I cannot function in sadness. And so anger has been my coping mechanism, which I don't think it's good, but it has been my coping mechanism throughout this and throughout my whole life. It's consistently been anger because I got to pull myself up by my bootstraps, right?
Sure.
I can't be being weak, which it doesn't mean it's weak. That's just what's in my head, right? My self-talk. And so I remember that night, that was a few weeks ago or a month ago, I went and I was like, I'm sorry, Isaac. We always apologize to each other. We would say, he would say, I'm sorry. I'm sorry too. You know, I'm really, because you guys, a moment of apology is both people can say sorry.
Sure.
It's somebody equally, you know, you because if nothing else, you're sorry that you had that miscommunication with them, right?
Yeah,
even if it wasn't your fault. And so I was like, I'm sorry, Isaac. He's like, it's okay. It's okay. And so that happened. And then my husband moved his bedroom downstairs. And the whole time I would be like, don't move his bedroom downstairs. And it's not my husband's fault either. I'm just saying these are different things. And I just think he felt like isolated, but he was away at college too.
Sure. Yeah.
So, you know, and
so it wasn't like he was using his bedroom every day.
No, it wasn't. You know, because part of after somebody dies and in a traumatic way, you're looking to blame everybody.
Of course.
It's everybody's fault. You know what I mean? That's part of it, you know? And so that weekend, you know, I couldn't get through to him. He was struggling. And I think I mentioned to you earlier that, you know, the year of COVID, I was trying to get Tony diagnosed and Isaac and his mental health stabilized. And I was like, I got to pick Isaac. I can't get Tony evaluated because one stays alive or I get one evaluated. And I need the one to stay alive. And that day we had Tony's developmental pediatrician. And I had to get up and go to work the next day because we were going to run this summit in DeKalb. And so I was stressed out and I'm like, not today, Isaac. I call my mom and I'm like, sit with Isaac, taking Tony to the appointment with my husband. And then my mom was watching him, Isaac, to make sure he was okay. And I'm like, I will take care of him later. You know, like I was checking in on him. I'm not saying, oh, you know, like throw him off, but there was different things I was doing to prep for the next day. I didn't know it was that serious. That's the thing is you don't know how serious something is until it's serious.
Yeah.
Well, and they say a lot of times people who are, what is the word, idealization with those thoughts, they don't seem like they would, like you would think in your head, like for some people it's like absolute downward, but they're hiding everything.
Oh yeah. Everything's
they're hiding
hidden.
everything. Or they're hiding it by either hiding themselves or they're hiding it with their outward emotions.
Well, I mean, think about the stuff that we hide every day, right? When we're coming to work.
Yeah.
You're trying to like be professional too. You're like, nobody really knows, you know, there's very few people. And so,
Especially when you work with the public where you're like,
oh yeah, you're like, hi, how are you? How's it
Yes.
going? You
Yeah.
know what I mean? And so and I guess this is more like to parents too, like what to be aware of. You know what I mean? The anger was there. So, we took my son to an appointment because let me tell you too, everything related around autism is specialized. That's why we landed here with Heather, because we were taking him to Kid Snips and then they were closing and I was like, oh shit, what are we going to do? And they recommended Heather. And I was like, okay. And so then Heather was able to work with Tony on the level
that he needed.
He needed. And Tony is so great with appointments. I never thought he would be okay with getting his hair cut. Everything is specialized for kids with autism.
How old is Tony now?
Tony is 8.
I think I've only met him the one time.
Yeah, and Tony's named after my grandfather. He's Antonio.
Love it.
Yeah.
He's so cute.
And so thank you, Heather, for that. Thank you guys for this spot, because I've been telling everybody about it. I'm like, and I don't know who I was talking to. And I was like, we take him to a special place, for his haircuts. He can't just go anywhere. And they're like, really? And I was like, yeah, everything for autism, like the dentist, they can't get in the mouth. You know what I
Sure.
mean?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Or you have to find someone who has the patience to do that.
Yeah, of course.
So then that day, Isaac passed away. So, we took Tony to his appointment, which was, we're in Illinois, in the northest part of Illinois, and we drive to Skokie to take him to his appointment, and then to come home and, watching him, and he seems like he's doing better. And he's like, I should have never went away to school. I should have never went away to school. And I was like, also in between that time, that earlier, I'm calling his school, and I'm like, listen, my son's not doing well. I don't think he's going to be able to go back to school. What can we do? Because I was always like, how can I lessen the blow for my kid?
Yeah.
Sure.
Because I don't want him to think like he's a failure
Yeah.
or lose the money,
Yeah.
The money was nothing, but, if we could salvage it all, I would salvage whatever I could, right? And so I was already on the phone with the school, like, my son is struggling, like, what can we do? And they're like, oh, well, he can finish it. I was like, he can finish it out, and they were like trying to work it so that he could finish it out, right? Because you guys, he was only 2 or 3 weeks from me picking him up from school.
Oh,
Yeah.
And so I brought the boys downstairs. They're like, come on, give your brother a hug, give Isaac some love, And so they're down there, giving Isaac, a hug and whatnot. And then he's like, get out of my room. And so I'm like, the heck is going on? And so then it's back again, the conversation. He's like, I should have never went away to school. And I'm like, it's okay, Isaac. Don't worry about school. Don't worry about the cost or anything. I'm like, it's nothing. I was like, it's like a car. We'll pay it off. It's not a big deal.
Sure.
Don't worry about it. And he's like, I should just never have gone. I should have never have gone. And let me add too that my husband is not his biological dad. I'm married for the first time. I had my son, like I said, a single mom. So we never got married or anything. And so then I'm like, okay. So I left him alone because he's like, get out of my room, right? And so then I go upstairs and I had made arroz con gandules, which is Puerto Rican rice, right? And I had some madeleines. I know, weird concoction mix, but those 2 things that he liked. So I bring him down for him to eat. Of course, as a mom, a Latina mom, he eats it. I'm like, oh my God, he's feeling better. He ate. He's like doing good. Okay.
Because Latino moms are always like,
yeah,
here, eat.
Right.
Yeah.
So he's eating. And so then I don't know where we are at time, if you want me to stop.
Not at all.
And so then I had a very hard time sleeping. I have a hard time sleeping, period. And I remember I went down there. I'm like, do you want me to stay with you? Do you want me to take you to the hospital? I can sleep on the floor, Isaac. Don't worry about it. I was like, I can be here with you. And he's like, no. And so then I remember going to sleep and I ended up sleeping on the couch. And I always would get woken up by the ring. And for some reason, the fucking ring didn't go off. I was just so exhausted. Sometimes I had to take stuff to go to sleep. And I didn't take anything that night because I was so fucking tired from the day and the weekend. because it was a whole weekend long of him being like angry and like us being scared, because it started out that we couldn't find him at school. Like I was always communicating with him and talking with him. I was trying to give him a space, but then at the same time but to let him know that we loved him and cared about him. And while he was away at school, I found stuff. I'm like, you didn't call. I found text messages because you're looking for everything. You're looking for all the answers, right? I found text messages and I was like, where I'm like, Isaac, you didn't come home. I'm not trying to give you a hard time, but, I do want you to know that you're missed and I love you. And, so it's like you're trying to do both again, like be there and not be there. Whatever you want me to be, tell me to be. And I don't read minds. And I think he thought I read minds, but I read his mind, but I don't read minds. And so back to that night. And so I fall asleep and I woke up the next day and it's like 5 o'clock in the morning and I could hear the birds chirping, which now people love the birds chirping. I fucking hate the birds chirping in the morning. I don't want to fucking hear them. What are you so fucking happy about?
Yeah.
Because you get that way. I'm very dark humor too, just so you know, since this has happened.
You're in good company.
So don't worry. And like, I was like, I found my son dead. And it's something that I was always worried about with that work, with that linkage program, that we were going to find somebody dead. But even though you're like, anything could happen, like you still don't really think things could happen, right?
Yeah.
When I supervise people on probation too, I would be like, probation can happen to anybody. It's hard not to judge people, right? Everybody judges everybody, but probation can happen to anybody. Life can happen to anybody. It really can. And that's what I would tell people on probation. I'm like, this can happen to anybody. And especially like with Isaac dying, I could see how people's lives can come out of control and like you can't get a hold of your life. You know what I mean? I thankfully have all the coping skills that I need. And I have been active let me back it up too, with finding Isaac. So you call the police, and, everything happens very quickly and you're going in slow motion. And so I know that I function in anger when things are, crisis related. Sorry. And because I've always worked in crisis positions beside this one, I even worked in an emergency room as a registrar. I function as a crisis, which is horrible. That's not a good thing, I don't think. I'm sure that's a trauma response or something.
Yes.
But so you just start the planning. You don't even know what to do. You're in shock. You're moving in like slow motion. I am thankful that the place that I called for the funeral, Dan Patch in Waukegan, he was freaking amazing. He was very sensitive. And that's where where my grieving started, and the positive support that I got. Also, and in addition, I was very lucky. I had a lot of family and friends. And working in probation taught me that I worked with a lot of people who didn't have anybody. And so I tried to hold on to whatever positivity I could through the whole time.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So Dan Patch helped me out, the funeral home in Waukegan. And then, it was the whole process of preparing. It was I disassociated. I still disassociate now. That's another coping mechanism that I have learned to do. I disassociate. And when there's a crisis going on, so that's why I can function well. Because I'm just like going through with it. I shut my feelings off. I don't mean to. I don't want to disassociate, but it just happens.
Yeah.
And so I want to say Isaac was a great kid. Not that there's anything wrong with this, but he didn't happen to have any substance use issues. He struggled with his mental health. It's really important that dads are around, even though he had a stepdad there who loved him very much. His real dad wasn't there, and he would like to blame it on me, but he was an adult for for almost 4 years. There was plenty of chances where he could have had a relationship with him. So I can only be blamed so much.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And dads are really important. Moms are really important. If you don't have both, that's okay. But to have a person, an adult in your life who you trust and who you is really important.
Yeah.
And so it's been very hard with Isaac dying. It's a traumatic death. So traumatic deaths are all death is, it can hurt you and it can hurt anybody. But when it comes to traumatic death, when it's your child, when it's you finding your child, it adds extra layers. And so you change as a person. I'm completely changed. And I would say I had to reckon with my faith, because being a Catholic, you're taught that if you die by suicide, you're going to hell. And that's not what they believe. I want to put that out there. Catholics do not believe that. And part of the thing that I would like to do with Isaac Seth, discuss men's mental health, discuss the Catholic faith, and rectify that with people, because that's not true. I got the most support through my Catholic faith. Catholic Charities has a loss program, which is for suicide survivors only. When you lose somebody in a traumatic way like this, you got to be, when you do any kind of grief work or support, you got to be around people who are like-minded, because it's such a niche way a person dies. And so I was connected with Catholic Charities through my doctor. Now, although Catholic Charities is Catholic Charities, the loss program for survivors is not for people who are Catholic. They don't even talk about religion.
Sure.
Mm-hmm.
So it's for anybody. And they have their stuff on Zoom, so anybody can join it from anywhere.
Yeah.
And benefit from their services. They have been so instrumental. Father Ruby started it 45 years ago, and he's still alive. He's I think 87 or something. He was so great. He was able to go bless where Isaac died. And that was so important to me, because that's also part of my grief, part of, positive and appropriate coping skills. You know what I mean? And so he was able to bless where Isaac died. And so now that, I don't know, people may think that's more Catholic, whatever. I don't know. But you can get a blessing anywhere or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
I'm all about the blessings. The more, the merrier.
Anything that makes sense to you and helps you is good.
But I think that some people don't go to Catholic Charities loss program because they think that it's Catholic, and it's not. You know what I mean? And so Father Ruby did that for me, and Father Ruby really helped me. He's Isaac's in heaven, Isaac's with God, Isaac, and so that's something I needed to keep on hearing, that he is the only one who could tell me, because he's a Catholic priest.
Mm-hmm.
Sure.
So I needed to hear that, and I need to hear that still, because when your child dies, what are you doing when you're a parent with your living child? You always want to make sure they're okay. You want to make sure, where are you? That's been the biggest thing. I think it's where are you? And really having to lean on the faith. And I have thankfully, thank God, because people could lose their faith.
Mm-hmm.
My faith is not lost. I am taking my faith to a different level, and I'm seeing what I can do with my faith. And I am fucking mad sometimes, because I'm what the fuck?
Yeah.
I have tried to do the best. Okay, I had a baby out of wedlock, right? That's not the whole Catholic way of thinking. But I'm I have tried to do my best by people. What the fuck happened? This is the most biggest what the fuck moment in my life, because I've tried to be the best that I could be and try to do good by people and not hurt people, right? And that's what I was taught in life.
Sure.
You do good to people and good's going to come. But you know what? This has taught me that it doesn't matter. You got to try to still be the best, but you could still get fucked in the end.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Not that you shouldn't, but you should do the best still, is what I'm trying to say.
That's how,
no matter what.
We've had this discussion a few times too, because he was raised with the church and I was not. I feel like you should just do what you can to make your community better and your earth better and your life better and other people's lives better, because in the end, it's better for everybody.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a selfish thing. It is I love helping families just feel normal again, or Because when you have a child, you have all these expectations of what your child's going to be like and what you're going to do with your child and how your child's going to grow up.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes you're hit with a speed bump.
Yes.
And it's just a speed bump. It's just a small pause. It's not like it's slowing you down, but you're still going to do all the things that you need to do. And life throws them at you all the time. Like you had a child out of wedlock.
Mm-hmm.
So the stigma of being a single young mom, your son has the stigma of not having a father, when there's nothing wrong with either of you. There's something wrong with the other situation. And the person who's missing out is not your son or you. It's the other person who decided not to be part of that.
I think, and I think that's also what I discovered too later in life. We all have these ideas of like, if I do this is going to make my life better. This is where like the best, right? Like I had it in my head. I had to get married. I'm going to have a family for my son. Like this is what I have to do. Instead of seeing that I had a family with my mom and my little sister living with them, it's the biggest. And another big thing, like there's all these things now, you learn to pivot, to learn to meet yourself where you're at,
Mm-hmm.
to learn that, just try to better yourself every day. You know what I mean? There is no perfect. We just have to do our best, and I do believe that, I do believe in, the values that my grandparents did teach me. And that's okay. But that's okay that other people don't have the same values.
Mm-hmm.
But I also do know that in some level of a person I'm going to be around, we have to have somewhat like values.
Yes.
And then there's that saying in Spanish, right? Dime con quien andas y te digo quién eres.
Yeah.
And I do believe that too. I do believe that. Not 100% of the time, because some people end up in situations that
Sure.
but it really does mold where you want to be in life. And that has been the biggest shock. There's all these different awakenings after losing my son.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
All these different awakenings. I can get into grief too. I told you guys I got a grief certification. And all I could say is, especially with working with this grant, also that's a substance use prevention, which are 3 things that we're focusing on right now, is kids who who are at risk of homelessness, just substance use prevention and in general. And then the third is kids who are affected by their parents or caregivers who use substances.
Mm-hmm.
And let me preface it. I keep saying parents, but it's caregivers, anybody who has the child, because I don't want to make kids feel bad who don't have parents there.
Sure.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's like when they got rid of like daddy-daughter dances.
Uh-huh.
They call it like VIP dance, because there are so many kids. Like we see kids all the time who are in foster care, either with a different like a person outside their family, or in kinship.
Yeah.
Where it's like they're not with the biological parent,
Right.
but with someone who's taking on that role. And all those people are very important.
Right.
And that kid having that support system is important.
Right.
So making them feel included is important.
I will tell you that they are looking at so our grant goes from 11 to 24-year-olds, 25, because they are looking at that age of 18 to 24, the brain 25, whatever science says. So the brain has not stopped.
Your frontal lobe is still
right.
developing. Sure.
And so that is what I'm focusing as my part of the grant, is focusing on that age 18 to 25-ish and rehabilitative factors for people who are in the court system.
Yeah. Well, before my next question for you, I guess I would say, like, I can't imagine what that, like, as a dad, I can't imagine what that would be like, and I don't pretend to, right? Like, I just want to say that. Can you think back with Isaac growing up? Were there any like early signs as a kid?
Yeah, Isaac was a bit of an introvert. He self-esteem, you know what I mean? I don't know if it was partly because of me, because I my self-esteem wasn't the greatest. Self-esteem is like a work. Like you either have it like a going out the door or it's something you're working on your whole life. But I feel like people who have it even going out the door, they still got to work on it too.
Oh, for
So
sure.
I would say self-esteem, like, right? Then that's another thing. How do I build you up but not build you up too much? Because I don't want you thinking that you're like, have this
hot shit.
I know,
Yeah.
right? Because my mom never told us growing up that we were pretty or anything like that. She's like, oh, I knew these girls growing up and their mom would, and they thought they were hot shit. So, I don't want you guys to be, well, then you forget to say anything, right? And so I would try to help him feel confident. My brother-in-law would do some stuff with him too, like to step in. Different relatives too. My uncle Trini really helped. My uncle Trini, his real name is Trinidad, so Trinidad, and so we called him Trini for sure. He really stepped in to try and help out too. Isaac had like people in his life who cared about him, but there is a block when you don't have self-esteem or whatever, and you can't get past it where you're like, nobody cares about me, nobody loves me, and that wasn't true. And but when you're in that depressive state like that, nobody can tell you anything different.
Yeah.
And so I would say, like, growing up, it is that spending time with them, more than anything, it's spending the time with them. It's just time. Kids always want your time. My kids want my time right now. I made up some dumb worm game with my 6-year-old. I don't know. He just was wrapped underneath. He wasn't at harm or anything. Okay,
No.
Somehow between the couch and the couch cover, he kind of made him look like he was in a cocoon.
Yeah.
And so I just made it up, and he keeps on asking, "Can we play the worm game?" And I was like, "That's physical activity."
Yeah.
I'm 43. Okay, going to be 44. Is there something else we could do?
Yes.
But so you keep playing it. So my point is, like, getting on their level and meeting them where they're at. It's always meeting them where they're at. Recognizing, it's okay to be different. Steering them in your values, though, still, too. Because, we can't have people just going, that's what we're seeing here sometimes, too, right? When people are not steered in a direction, they're directionless. And then it's like,
Someone else can have that influence over them.
Right.
And talking to last season with Dawn
Oh, sure.
and them, it's so easy for them to search for family if you're not an engaged family.
Right.
So, which happens a lot in Waukegan, where parents are like, I know some parents who had 2 jobs each to make ends meet.
Right.
And they weren't able to be there for their kids emotionally. Like, yes, I love my child. Yeah, I'm doing everything I can to give them the life I didn't have, make them comfortable. And without realizing it, the emotional part wasn't there. Like, I know my parents love me, but I didn't have a relationship with my dad until he came home from the military. And at that point, it was still hard because you don't really know who this person is and you're tiptoeing around them. Plus the adjustment of having him back in our household and changing the way that we did things. And then my mom's a whole different other story. So it's like you're tiptoeing around her because she's bipolar.
Okay.
So you don't know which version of her you're going to get.
Right.
At any point of the day,
Right.
or at any day. So it's like you wake up and you're like, what's today going to be like?
Right.
So it's like, children get parentified early on.
Oh, yes.
They don't get their emotional needs met.
Right.
And it is hard because you're trying to balance it all.
Right.
And you're only one person. You can't do it all. So having that system of people around you helps a lot. But at the same time, there's also some things that there's nothing you can ever do about it. Like my mom's bipolar. That's a genetic thing.
It is.
So it's not like I can just be like, snap out of it.
Right.
You're not going to do this anymore.
Right.
The same thing with most depression. Like you said, there's nothing you can do to pull that person out of that depression because it's just a state of mind.
It is.
And they have to, at some point, figure it out on their own, but know that they have that support.
So that's the thing, too. I was always giving Isaac coping skills. I have all these coping skills, all these different strategies and stuff I learned from work. So the other thing I would say, too, with speaking with that also is teaching not everything's going to be, every day is not happy.
Yeah.
That is not how life is.
Yeah.
But what do you do when you're not happy? That's where you change life. Because Isaac worked at, I don't know, I don't want to name the place where he works, but he worked at a place, I don't know, like a hardware store, like a big hardware store. And he's like, hey, I don't want to work there anymore. And I'm like, listen, I understand that, but that's not going to be your whole life.
Yeah.
And what can you look forward to when you go there?
Sure.
If that's meeting with your friend, or talking with your friend Allie, if that's having a coffee, what do you need to do to get yourself through that moment?
Yeah.
So I would say teaching coping skills, not positive. So coping skills, I think a lot of people lack positive and appropriate coping skills. I have done over 600 intakes working with adult people on probation. And that's just the paperwork to start them off on probation, right? So I've heard all kinds of things with adults. And like I said, maybe somebody who has serious mental health issues doesn't have substance use, or somebody who has substance use issues doesn't have serious mental health issues. But with talking with people, a lot of people there's some kind of traumatic thing or something that changes the course of how you look at stuff. And so it's like, when something happens, how do you navigate that situation?
Sure.
And that's what I would say is like teaching. It's not going to be happy all the time. And some people don't believe in like teaching your kid that. My husband was like, when I told my son, I'm like, you're not going to be happy all the time. I believe in being truthful.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I mean, age appropriate, of course. You know what I mean?
For sure.
I'm like, but it's like, but you can try. And if you can't make yourself happy, just do your best, and like maybe tomorrow will be happier. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it's like just teaching them appropriate coping skills, going for a walk. Don't put yourself down through this negative, hole if you're already not doing well. You know what I mean? I don't know if you guys have seen Toy Story 5. What a message.
Sure.
Oh, I haven't seen it yet.
Okay, so I don't want to say anything, but there's like a definite message.
You can say it because I'll read on it. I'll read Wikipedia before.
The message is getting off screens and a community and making friendships.
Oh, I can't tell you. Like,
maybe you saw something different.
No, very much so.
I watch families here all the time, and I get it. We're trying to decompress. I do it at home all the time.
Me too.
Where I'm just on my phone and I'm playing some stupid little game. But we had this it's like a theme in this whole season so far is just building a bond with your kids, having communication with your kids. Like we were talking about this in a previous episode. Like I was a bedroom kid. The house was not welcoming enough for me to go sit in the living room with my family. Even now, I've had to talk to my parents and say, when I come over and you're still on your computer and you're still on your TV, it doesn't make me want to hang out with you guys.
Yeah.
Like, we don't have that kind of relationship for you guys just to ignore me while I'm over. So I don't go over that often.
Yeah.
And then even sitting here where I was watching someone with their younger child on their lap and the baby had their phone and then the parent had their phone.
Right.
And they're doing completely different things. And I hear it all the time with my girlfriends who are with partners. Like, we don't watch a show together. We don't watch, even just watching a single show together so they can talk about it afterwards is so important. Not sitting in the same room on two different devices in two different worlds.
Right.
Like you said, going for a walk, all these little things. I feel like I've seen it through hiring young receptionists. They have a hard time, not here because we haven't had one, but like when I worked at my other shop,
right?
You see these kids and they have a hard time with talking on the phone, which I remember having a hard time because I just didn't want to sound stupid on the phone.
Right.
Like I'd have to call men's activewear. Can I get someone from activewear to call register 9 because we have an issue or whatever. And then kids here going on the phone and I tell them, I always prep them. I'm like, this is going to be easier than just talking on the phone to somebody because you have a script.
Right.
But they're scared of saying the wrong thing.
They're scared of messing up. Right.
They're scared of messing up.
I think that's the thing too, is teaching them, hey, you know what? I mess up. That's what I told Isaac too before he died. I was like, He's like, what if I make the wrong decision? I was like, you think I made right decisions the whole time? I was like, you make the wrong decision and that leads you to somewhere else. Obviously, you don't want to make a major wrong decision.
Yeah.
It's a little harder to navigate if you make but everything's figure outable.
Yeah.
Besides death.
Well, it's okay to make mistakes. It's okay to start over.
It's okay.
I had to learn that the hard way. And then the anxiety of it though, like I remember I didn't want to leave my old job for the longest time because of anxiety.
Yeah.
What am I going to do? How am I going to pay for this? How am I going to get insurance? How am I going to do this? Am I going to make it? Am I going to be able to do it?
Mm-hmm.
And I grew up with someone who always put fear into you.
Yeah.
Like I wanted to go to art school originally.
Mm-hmm.
Well, how are you going to pay your bills?
Yeah.
You won't make any money being an artist.
Yeah.
And then there was like a lot of negative talk, always negative talk. And I was lucky enough to date someone whose family was very positive and very encouraging. And like, I still talk to these people today and we haven't dated in over 10 years because of the impact that they made on my life. I always searched out surrogate families.
Mm-hmm.
So it's there, like you said, there's pivoting, there's ways to figure it out. There's always hope. There's always something there. And for some people, it's harder for them to get out of that leap, out of that hole.
This was a whole career change in this new position that I am. And they have 41. And my old partner that I had at work when I worked in psych services, she's like, you got a lot of balls to be changing your career. And I was like, I don't know if I got balls. I just need a different job that's going to be flexible for my kids.
Yeah.
And I got to do whatever I got to do.
Well, I think now there's like a new study coming out that people are doing total pivots in careers like 2 or 3 times in their lifetime. Like at 40, it's very likely that people are going to change entirely what they do. I mean, I did it at 30. I feel like there's so much that we could still talk about, but
I know your time.
I'm going to start landing the plane a little bit. How has Isaac's passing impacted how you parent your boys now?
I definitely tried to be more gentle with them. And I'm like, it's okay. Don't worry about it. I was a bedroom child too, but because I'm from the Hispanic family that you can't go into the living room because it's only for when people come to your house.
Oh, yeah.
So we were not allowed to live in the living room.
Yeah.
Our furniture looked like new when my parents got divorced.
Did it have the plastic stuff on it?
No, it did not have plastic on it. Well, it didn't need plastic on it because we didn't go on it.
No.
You weren't allowed to.
But we weren't even allowed to sit on it.
No. I know so many families that like...
Oh, yeah, there's so many cultures who put plastic on it. I think my grandparents had it on for the Puerto Rican ones for a little bit. My Mexican ones, no. They let us... I would say the Mexican ones, that's been the best. They were the best. We got to jump around, do whatever we want. My grandparents were very playful. And that's why we were so close to them. We got to be kids with them. They were gentle. They were everything. They were stern. We got our butts whooped when we needed it. Mm-hmm. And they were just the best. And me and my sister, I attributed them to when my parents having a tumultuous marriage. Because I had great grandparents, I think that really helped lessen the blow and save things. And what did you say? How has Isaac's
passing, impacted how I
parent the kids. I try to be more like, oh, it's okay that spilled, whereas, or like, when you're growing up, they're like, oh my God, you spilled red stuff all over. You're like, I've always been a big yeller. I still yell. I try not to yell as much because that was something I did feel guilty about yelling, like, Isaac, pick up your stuff. But I'm happy to hear other parents. Like I have somebody I know, they have older kids and that are Isaac's age. She's like, I'm constantly yelling at them to pick up after themselves. So I was like, okay, a lot of people do it. You obviously don't want to yell, but I try to yell less, but I mean, nobody changes overnight.
No, sure.
Exactly.
That's the other thing too. Like working with people on adult probation, you're asking people to change. Yeah. And you're asking people to change in a crisis situation. Mm-hmm. It's very hard to do. It's hard for us who I don't think are in that crisis of a situation and still hard to make changes. People one day want to diet or they want to do this. It's hard to make the change.
Yeah,
well, and then we also have this expectation that we're going to do full throttle. Like it's all or nothing. And it's like, no, those little changes build up to other things. Like now you're being more conscious about how you're speaking to the boys.
Right.
So you're going to do it. You're going to make a mistake at some
Right.
point. You're going to either lose your cool or like now you realize like, oh, you spilled this on the couch. No big deal. We can clean it.
Yeah.
I don't want to clean it, but we can clean it up. It's replaceable.
Right.
Let's just be more careful next time.
Right.
Like I remember telling my friend's daughter, she comes from a family that they yell a lot.
Yeah.
And it's like immediate boom.
Yeah.
Where at my house, when I would watch her, again, I don't have her 24/7. I only had her like when I had her. She went in my bathroom, used a bath bomb to wash her hands. It got everywhere. You could see the pattern of her panicking with it when it started bubbling. And she shoved it back in the basket and came out. And I'm like, I'm done. Because she's just going pee. And I'm like, what'd you do? And she's, I'm nothing. And I'm like, something happened. And I don't care that something happened.
Right.
I do care that you're lying to me about it because we can fix it together.
Yeah.
But if I go in that bathroom and it's messed up,
Then I'm going to beat you.
no, then you're going to be in trouble for lying to me.
Sure.
Oh,
It's not the action, it's the lying that I don't want you to do. So she's like, nope. And so we go, I wait a little bit and then I go in there and it's like that scene in Daddy Daycare where Eddie Murphy's like, at the whole ceiling. Like it was everywhere.
Yeah.
Purple foam everywhere. So I'm like, Javery, cut that out. Cut that out. So I go in there and I'm like,
now I got to make a note of where to cut.
I know. I'm like, did I say anything too?
I know.
I don't think so.
I don't. I was trying. I've learned to be very neutral
not using names.
because this job.
So I go in the bathroom. There's stuff everywhere. So I pull her in. I'm like, what happened here? Oh, it rolled down the counter and fell in the toilet. And I was like, no, it didn't. You're telling me more lies. Just tell me the truth.
Right.
You're not in trouble, but you are going to clean this up.
Right.
Here's a wet towel. Clean this up.
Right. So
And-
teaching her the skill, okay, when
Yes.
there's a way to clean up after.
But
you
like
know,
just yelling at her and smacking her around is not going to fix the problem. It's just going to make her hide more things later.
Right.
Like anytime I have any of my friends' kids over, I want them to know that I'm a safe place for them to come to.
Right.
Because sometimes there's going to be things that they're scared to talk to their parents about. Because in the end, what are we always scared of? Disappointing our parents.
Right.
At any age. So
I think that's the other thing too. But see, Isaac always talked to me about it. It wasn't until he went away to school that he stopped talking to me. So I'm like, I always had that.
mm-hmm.
I don't know.
It's always hard.
It is very
It's always
hard.
hard.
It's hard.
But it does say a lot that he did go to you all the time to talk to you because some kids don't talk to their parents at all.
And it was not easy. We, at that age, you think, when your parents are so stupid, you're going to do better than your parents.
Yeah.
And we did have a lot of arguments, but that's the other thing I hold on to. He's like, I'm like, I was always apologizing. I was like, I'm sorry, Isaac, I'm sorry. He's like, you know what, Mom? This was a few months before he died. You and I are always okay. Don't worry. No matter what happens, you and I are always okay.
Yeah.
And so that's something that I hold on to. And the other thing that I was very lucky, being a Catholic, I'll say this, because I talked to somebody who lost her daughter by suicide too. And she's like, how are you so lucky that you did that? Was that the night before he died? I don't know, something told me, Catholics are really big into our holy water. I just took the holy water and I'm like, God bless you, Isaac. God, so, and I prayed for him before. And I would say always pray for your kids too, or, whatever you believe in or whatever you do. There's something more than what we have in this human world. So I don't know. I would like some more answers. That's all I know.
Yeah, I think so. I'm a pastor's kid and grew up in church.
Mhm.
I went to seminary. I didn't finish seminary, but went to seminary. I worked in the church for the better part of the last decade. Well, no, now a decade before the last decade.
You're old.
I'm getting old.
So there's where you're kind of different because most Hispanics are Catholic and your pastor's kid.
We're Protestant.
Yeah, so that's different too.
Man, if we had more time, I would like to really explore this with you because there are so many things that I do so the Catholic and Protestant thing, I understand the whole Reformation, and I understand all that thing. But I think at the core of even the Reformation, when Protestant came about from the Catholic faith, it was really just the corruption of men that worked against the faith. It wasn't the faith changing.
Right.
Like the Catholic faith at its core, the Protestant faith at its core are all rooted in Christ, in the church, in the holy sacraments, all those things. It's just really when people get involved that it starts to change. And we're seeing that now too. But I will say, and this may mean nothing to you. It may just take it for what it's worth, I guess. That night, hearing you say that you were able to go in and pray for him, like from the outside looking in, it almost seems like that maybe
that was an answered prayer.
It was an answered prayer.
Exactly. I thought about that too.
It was, I don't know. I think of like death being imminent, right? We're all going to die at some point. Him knowing that his mom still loved him, like that's everything. So I don't know. I don't want to get too far into that, but I will say that I think all people are different people, right? All kids are different kids. The things that you did or maybe feel badly with Isaac, same things that I'm doing with my kids, right? Like, I don't think you can hold yourself with any guilt. And I don't think you do, at least from the outside looking in.
There's a lot of guilt. Okay. But it's gotten better.
It feels like you are understanding and letting that. How long has it been?
2 years and 2 months. And Isaac's birthday is coming up. And let me tell you one more thing too about him. He was a person who walked in faith. Yeah. Up until he died, he was walking in faith. The day after he died, this crucifix came in the mail in his name. Oh. So he was grasping.
Yeah, of course.
You know what I mean? So that's why he doesn't, our stigma check boxes, he doesn't check them.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. I don't know. I don't think there's anything to say, right? Like, what do you say to someone who there's a movie that I enjoy watching. It's just a movie, but there's a part where one of the main characters, their daughter, dies by suicide, and their friend comes over, and he doesn't say anything. And they're Native American, so the dad is sitting outside, just looking outside. And he just comes in and he sits with them. And I feel like even in times of need, sometimes you don't need to say anything. Just sit, just take it in, just be present. And I think that works in all
that instances. Is exactly right. And that's when it comes to grief too. People will avoid talking to me. People won't, they're scared they're going to catch the suicide, or they don't know what to say. And so they don't talk to you. So it's very lonely. Sure. And so I would say anybody who knows anybody grieving, just say you're there for them. Sit with them. Yeah. You don't have to say anything.
Well, it's like, I think it was Amy Poehler, and she was talking to someone who lost their grandparent and said, tell me about her.
Yes. Yeah. When they ask them about, because people don't bring up the person who died. I talk about Isaac all the time. Sure. I have to not talk about them because people will get upset. Like when Isaac died, I was comforting people. They were crying. Yeah. I didn't even get a chance to cry. I was comforting people, which is fine. And, but it's like, you're like comforting people. And you're like, well, did your son die or my son? But people feel it. Sure. And you're such a close family. But I mean, this is like friends even too. There's like crying and you're like, okay.
Back to you were saying earlier too, like talking about men's mental health, and like we see it all the time now where men are taught that you can be one of two things, happy or angry. Right. They don't let you be sad because that's weak. Yeah. And we see it happen in different ways. So some people internalize it
Mm-hmm.
and they make it all their fault,
Mm-hmm.
or they externalize it and make it everyone else's fault. And then that's how we get people who make big, like the mass shootings.
Yeah.
Those are angry people that have a lot of feelings that aren't allowed to talk about it.
Yeah, they're
because
like
told
sad.
not to.
Yeah.
And they're told that you can be sad or you can be mad. But if you're sad, you're weak.
Yeah.
And if you're mad, you're strong.
Yeah.
But then they lose control of their life. And that's what it really comes down to, like what you were saying earlier. Like in life, you can only control yourself. You can't control other people and you
Right.
can't control other people's actions. You can only control your actions. And you can't always control your feelings, but working through them is a way to control the situation. Feeling all of those feelings, talking about it, discussing it with somebody, by yourself, like feeling all the feelings. Because grief, that is a lot of different feelings.
Mm-hmm.
You're mad, you're sad, you feel guilty because you're laughing about something and you should be sad, but
Yeah.
it's all of it.
Yeah.
And being able to control yourself and look at what you can control in your life. Like, even though you were already doing this work,
Mm-hmm.
now it kind of gives it more of like, I don't want to say urgency, but like there's more, you are able to connect with these families and help these families more.
Right. Or organizations that help families.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so now you're able to work with these people and be like, I don't know the exact situation. I don't know anything before, but I'm here to help you now.
Right.
And hopefully it can be before, because a lot of people don't get help until it's too late.
Yeah.
Like they say, don't go to therapy when you are absolutely broken. You should go before,
Right.
when you do feel in a good space, because then you can talk to someone without everything exploding. Like when I first started going to therapy, I didn't actually want to talk about the original the real problem that was going on, the current problem. I was finding other things to talk about
Mhm.
because I didn't want to face that one yet. And once I got to that point, I was able to, like, okay, I had that breaking point and I was like, let's go. This is what's going on. This is what's happening. This is why I'm here, actually.
Right.
But it's hard to get to that point. And asking for help when you're at the lowest is also hard, because you also don't want to be a burden
Right.
to everybody. But it's like, if we were able to, like, women always have someone to talk to.
Mm-hmm.
We're taught to express ourselves, to vent. We're given that space. And then a lot of men aren't.
Right.
And if they do, they're too needy. They're a pussy,
Yeah.
which I hate that. It's more like you're a ball sack, because those are a lot more tender than a pussy.
Mm-hmm.
But, but like, you definitely can. There's people you can talk to. I like having those. That's like why Ralph and I are such good friends, because we're able to have conversations like that. Like,
yeah.
he talks about, like, I was sitting with my kids the other day and I was thinking about this and like how this affects them. Like,
Right.
I don't know a lot of men who can do that, because
Right.
they're not able to do that. They weren't given those tools.
Right.
Yeah, that's pretty important to me. Like even last night, we were switching up my son's room. My middle son, he's the one that he's just like me. He's got a short temper like me. He gets frustrated like me. He cries when he's angry like
Mhm.
me. We're the same person. And he's taking the room, because we live in my parents' house. Well, was my parents' house. He's taking the room that I kind of grew up in.
Mm-hmm.
And we just finished getting it all ready. And yesterday we put his bed together and moved things around. And I'm tugging him in at night. And I think everyone was already asleep, but we were finishing up. And I lean over to him and I'm like, dude, I'm so glad that you got this room. Because he's been kind of upset. It is kind of a medium-sized room. It's a big room, but
Yeah.
it's a medium-sized room. His brother's room's a little bigger. His sister's room. He's like, which one's bigger, mine or my sister's room? And so last night, it's bedtime, and I'm like, dude, I'm glad you got this room. This is the room that I grew up in. This is the room that I told him, this is the room that I learned about myself in. This is the room that I learned about Jesus in. This is the room that I learned about girls in. Like, this is the room
Ew.
that I really enjoy. Yeah. We didn't talk about too much of that. But this is a room that I really hoped you would have, and it was a sweet moment. And those little things that I try and do to just remind them that that not everything is necessarily a bad thing, right? Like things can work out in the end.
And see, and that's where you're starting to teach them right there too. A bigger doesn't mean better.
Sure.
Sometimes smaller better because it's packed with more of a gift inside.
Sure.
And so, I mean, sounds like nobody's perfect all the time, right? You try to do it right there.
Not at all. And going back to men's health and mental health, I get that. I think the older I get, the more I'm also starting to realize mental health is a big deal. Starting to realize my whole life, my unchecked ADHD, and now as almost 40-year-old man, I'm like, okay, I heard someone talking about it the other day. It was one of the interviews that I listened to. He was saying that his unchecked ADHD would always manifest in irritable anger. And I'm like, oh my God, that's me. Like if I get home and it's been a long day, I'm just overstimulated, and I get home and the house is kind of messy, like automatic irritable anger, start cleaning, just be short with everyone. And like, I need to also kind of make room for my own mental health and make room for understanding that it's not just me being a jerk, because I can get pretty hard on myself too. Like, oh, why did I respond that way? Or why did I say this? Because I'm quick to do that. But understanding that there's more to it and trying to dig into that a little bit.
It's funny that you said ADHD because it looks different in girls, and I had it when I was younger. And so I was finally diagnosed with it 4 years ago. And so I'm sitting here because I have to take medication for my ADHD.
Sure.
But otherwise, I mean,
it looks different for everyone.
Does.
Absolutely. And it's a spectrum, and we've known that, and we're seeing that even more. Cristina, I want to say thank you.
Thank you.
I know it's been about 2 hours of sitting down and getting to know you. And we didn't really know each other, and you've known Heather for a little bit. But thank you for being vulnerable and opening up to questions and having us learn a little bit more about your life. And I want to say God bless you. And
thank you.
Thank you for being with us and sharing your story and sharing Isaac's story. And we love you. Thank you.
Thanks for making it safe here. Not everybody can make a person feel safe. So thank you.
Thank you.
Let's go.
Well, that's a wrap for today's episode of Y'all Be Good. And as always, a reminder that we are a project of Little Lion Cuts. We hope you've enjoyed these stories just as much as we have enjoyed sharing them. Every family has a story, and we're just grateful that we get to hear yours too. If you've enjoyed today's episode and you think someone else might need to hear it, don't forget to share this podcast with them. And hey, while you're at it, be sure to subscribe and leave us a review. That really does go a long way. You definitely don't want to miss out on any of the real, raw, and inspiring conversations we've got lined up. And we'd love to hear your stories too. So go ahead and find us on Instagram at y'allbegoodpod, or drop us a message with your thoughts. And until next time, y'all be good.